2 weeks later, in a quiet corner of the classroom, Hakkadosh sat alone, lost in thought. His friend Joseph noticed the change in him and decided to check in. Sitting across from him, Joseph expressed concern, pointing out how distant and odd Hakkadosh had seemed lately. Hakkadosh didn't deny it. He confided that he believed he was under spiritual attack, not just figuratively, but by literal demons. Joseph laughed it off at first, joking about whether Hakkadosh had been sneaking communion wine, given that his father was a pastor. But Hakkadosh dismissed the idea, saying the communion wine wasn't even accessible in their home. His expression turned serious again as he explained how, for the past 2 weeks, his sleep schedule had flipped, staying awake all night and sleeping during the day, all because of a series of disturbing astral projections. Joseph's curiosity piqued. He questioned what astral projection really meant and, upon hearing the explanation, asked Hakkadosh to teach him how to do it. At first, Hakkadosh refused, warning that it wasn't something to take lightly. He didn't want Joseph ending up like him, isolated and unnerved. But Joseph was persistent. He believed that being able to see the unseen was a gift, maybe even a protective one. He referenced teachings from his grandmother, who once said witches and wizards used astral projection to cast spells. But Joseph's intentions, he claimed, were different. He wanted to understand the spiritual forces around him. Reluctantly, Hakkadosh agreed to show him the basics but made it clear that he himself had no desire to continue. The dangers were too real. Joseph, however, encouraged him to keep going, insisting that such experiences could provide insight, especially into the darker forces of the world. Later, the two stood by the school gate, discussing Joseph's failed attempts at astral projection. Despite trying everything Hakkadosh had suggested, Joseph had experienced no progress. Hakkadosh explained that for him, the experience had begun naturally and that he only learned to control it afterward. Joseph wasn't satisfied with the answer. He suggested they try it together at Hakkadosh's house, but Hakkadosh declined, insisting he preferred to keep his spiritual life private, especially from his parents. Their friendship, he said, had boundaries that ended at the school gate. Frustrated but still persistent, Joseph pushed for more details on the projection process. Hakkadosh brushed it off for the day, giving nothing more than a cryptic smile. Joseph playfully accused him again of being drunk on communion wine, which made both of them laugh. That night, in his bedroom, Hakkadosh sat at his reading table, flipping through his King James Bible when the phone rang. It was Joseph, who announced that he was on his way to Hakkadosh's house. Caught off guard, Hakkadosh protested, insisting he wasn't home, that he was actually sleeping at school. But Joseph revealed that he was near the school already. In a panic, Hakkadosh ended the call abruptly and turned off the phone, muttering in frustration that Joseph wouldn't give him any peace. Later that night, around 4:03 a.m., Hakkadosh awoke. The timing, he thought, was ideal. He peeked through the window and noticed the full moon bathing the surroundings in silver light. He calmed his mind, slowed his breath, and prepared himself for another projection. Moments later, his astral body slipped out from his physical form. Confident that the space was safe, he exited through the wall and floated into the compound. Outside, he walked toward a tree in the yard, glancing back at his bedroom window. But what he saw made him freeze. A man clothed entirely in white stood silently near the house. His head was transparent like glass, a smooth, reflective surface, featureless and glowing faintly with light. The figure had no face, yet something about its presence commanded attention. Hakkadosh tried to shake the image from his mind, telling himself it was all in his head. But the figure didn't vanish. As he turned to return to his body, the man stepped into his path, blocking him. The figure spoke, not with a voice, but with presence, calm, steady, and oddly familiar. It introduced itself as Eyewitness and asked for Hakkadosh's attention, claiming it had been sent by a council. It requested, not demanded, that Hakkadosh follow. Eyewitness assured him that his will would not be violated. If he chose to walk away, he would be free to do so. But, the figure said, if he agreed to come, he would not regret it. Still wary, Hakkadosh admitted that the figure's appearance was unsettling, but curiosity outweighed his fear. He agreed to follow. As they walked together along a strange road that seemed to shift between realms, the figure began to speak again. It told Hakkadosh that it had been there since the moment of his birth. It had intervened in unseen ways throughout his life, preventing disasters and removing moments of shame that could have altered his path. One day, it said, Hakkadosh would look back and recognize those invisible hands. The figure's time of intervention was nearly over, but this moment, this meeting, was necessary. Hakkadosh said nothing in return. He simply walked beside the faceless figure, listening, wondering what would come next.